Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got a slightly different type of video. I'm not going to be reviewing the Spyderco Sage 5 today. Rather, I want to talk about my experience as a regular Joe, not somebody who did any crazy scientific testing or anything like that. Just as somebody who put a knife with Rex121, properly heat treated by the way by Spyderco, in his pocket and just used it like a pocket knife for, it's been a while now. It's been a few weeks, maybe a little over a month, right? Here and there, kind of rotating it in with some other stuff. I think this might be important because a lot of people are intrigued by this legendary steel, boasting the highest potential edge retention of any steel on the market. There's a little bit of discussion between this and the hyper heat treated triple B 15V, right? Not going to get into that today, but everybody's intrigued by the steel. A lot of people are afraid of it because they think it's like incredibly chippy, which it is. That's fair. But I want to add something to that. I want to talk about my experience just using this like a pocket knife, right? So that's what I'm going to do today. I've already reviewed the Sage 5. The Sage 5 is incredible. You don't have to get it in Rex121, right? If you don't own this knife, you've never used it. It's like one of my favorite EDC knives in general. It's just really, really good. Thanks so much to my patrons for supporting me. Thanks so much to River's Edge Cutlery for providing this knife so that I could sample it. I will give this knife away. I'm not going to keep this, but River's Edge Cutlery did supply it with the intention of me giving it away afterwards. So thank you very much. I'll link this at River's Edge Cutlery down in the description. It's definitely worth checking out that retailer. They're great. So how's the edge doing after you just kind of used it like a pocket knife for however many weeks, right? Actually, it's still slicing just fine. The edge has not chipped, right? A lot of people worry about this chipping. Well, you didn't really use it very hard though, did you, Metal Complex? No. I didn't go out and beat on. I don't think. I think most people should be able to use common sense and know that Rex121 is not a steel that anyone would use on a bushcraft knife. You're not going to go out and bushcraft with Rex121, right? I use this the same way that I would use any of my other pocket knives, right? How many of you use your pocket knives? If you like to use your pocket knife as a screwdriver or a pry bar or a hammer, you've got other issues you need to work out. But let's just simplify it and say Rex121 is not the steel for you. If you are like me and you open your packages with a pocket knife, you maybe occasionally go out and cut straps off of larger packaging, or you cut into styrofoam or rubber, right? Perhaps for whatever reason, you drive your blades into aluminum cans. Oh, that's really going to make people cringe, isn't it? I was thinking Metal Complex probably didn't use that knife very hard and he would never cut into an aluminum can. Yeah, that's not really that big of a deal. But even something like that, which a lot of people think that would damage a normal pocket knife, it won't. And it's also not going to cause any chipping or anything like that. Part of the reason I did that was just so that there's always, when it comes to steel and performance and edge retention, right, it attracts people who don't like channels like mine who do the tabletop overview experience, and they automatically assume that no actual usage was involved and it's all smoke and mirrors and there's no reason somebody like me would actually go out and use a knife like this. It's really not that special of an experience to throw a pocket knife in your pocket and then use it for pocket knife things. I don't know why so many people assume that that's like this magical club of certain people that dare actually take a knife like this that's pretty expensive, put it in their pocket and then use it, right? That there's like this special council of people who have the right to do that and everybody else is too confused or stupid or fearful to actually do something like that. No, it's not a special experience. It's pretty common. It's pretty easy to do. I did it and it was fine. This steel, while I believe 100% is going to chip much more readily than your average, like something like S35VN or even S90V, even S110V, right? It will, and the more you use it, the more likely it is to chip, right? It's not necessarily that this blade steel is going to chip while using it absolutely responsibly and using it only for things like opening packages or, using it, cutting materials that are substantially softer than the blade. Accidents happen. You run into staples, right? You run into a staple with this, it's probably going to chip, right? And that can happen. You decide to cut a zip tie and you give it a little bit of torque. Yeah, it's not a tough steel, right? But it is nowhere near as scary as some people make it out to be. In fact, when I read comments, people assuming things about Rex121, because I didn't know either. I had always assumed, I'm not claiming that I'm a professional and that this video is going to enlighten everybody and I'm going to break the mold that is everyone's assumptions on Rex121. No. But when I read comments of people like, oh, it's so brittle, like you go to cut anything and it just shatters, right? Obviously they're exaggerating, but I also, now having experienced this steel, I also realize that people who say that likely have no experience with the steel. So if you're reading that, it's very likely that those people don't have any idea what they're talking about. And anybody who is shattering regularly Rex121 blades, they are probably using the knife in a way that would require a different blade steel at the very least, or more than likely a different tool, right? Again, screwing, prying, chopping. There are tools that time has given us that are optimized for that. A pocket knife is not one of those things. If you are just like me, and you're just a regular Joe doing regular things with this pocket knife, maybe you have different knives for different tasks, which people do, right? You have different tools in your garage for different tasks. Then, I don't think Rex121 is going to be an issue in terms of cutting and like whether or not it's going to chip. I don't think it's nearly as chipped for the regular Joe, right? If you're a more serious, more specific type of task knife user, right, then obviously Rex121 is not a jack of all trades steel. It works really well in this package here. Lightweight, compact, Sage 5, general EDC use. It'll cut and cut and cut forever. The big issue for the average Joe is going to be sharpening. You nowadays you can get a guided system with a diamond stone, and with enough patience you can get an edge back on it. I'm not sure that this steel is going to be the balance of, longevity versus time spent on maintenance. It's not going to be that perfect balance for people. I think most people would prefer to have a blade that lasts for a pretty long time, and then when you go to sharpen it, it's just really easy to sharpen. The reason I say that is because while there are plenty of people out there who enjoy sharpening and it's therapeutic for them, right? It's kind of like people who love to wash their vehicles. Therapeutic. It's a lot of work, but they enjoy it. Other people are like, oh my God, I can't stand washing my vehicle. It's such a chore, right? I'd rather just drive it through the automated car wash and be done with it. Most people do not find sharpening therapeutic. It is more of a chore. Ironically, you would assume that would mean that they would prefer as much space as possible between sharpenings. And then when it's time to sharpen, right, it just takes a little bit longer. I think more people, you can tell me what you think. I think more people would prefer that they just have a pretty good blade that lasts for a long time. And then they go to sharpen it maybe more often, but it's just substantially easier to sharpen, right? Now, I haven't spent any time trying to resharpen this because I don't need to. The edge is still going. But I know from talking with other people and watching other videos on YouTube, which are plentiful, you can easily go find this stuff. People sharpening Rex121, people who are masterfully skilled at sharpening, whether it's freehand or with a guided system, they might not have as much trouble with it, but the average person is going to have a pretty frustrating experience with this stuff. To my knowledge, Rex121 is not stainless either. In fact, I'm almost 100% certain that it's not. So I didn't really experience any issues, but I wasn't like using it like water or anything. Everybody's experience is going to be different, right? The environment you're using it in, the climate, what you're using it for. Everybody's definition of light or medium use is going to be different. I don't think anybody is going to try and force this blade steel into a role of heavy use or hard use. Like, you'd have to be kind of stupid to do that, because it's widely known as a brittle steel. But everybody's definition of light to medium use is going to be a little bit different. I think there are some people out there who would pick this knife up being like, oh, yeah, Metal Complex has lasted over a month with this and it hasn't chipped, right? I'll take mine out and just use it like a regular pocket knife. There's going to be plenty of people who their definition of using it like a regular pocket knife is going to result in chips, which will really, if you have to reprofile this stuff, it would really become a nightmare. So this is, I guess, my message, my overall message to somebody considering picking up Rex121. If you are just a steel enthusiast and you're like, I'm not trying to like put this thing through its paces. I just like the idea of having it in my pocket. You know, I like the idea of having my Hellcat parked in my garage. I'm not going to take it out to the drag strip. I just like it being there, right? I like knowing that it's capable of 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds or whatever it is that thing does, right? Okay, you can apply that. There's no reason, like, there's no law that says you can't buy a knife in Rex121 unless you are going to push it to the limit in terms of what it is capable of. No, you can do whatever you want. You can buy it, right? There's no, ignore the gatekeepers and the idiots, that tell you that you got to do certain things or it's made for this or you can buy whatever you want, right? So if that's what you're going to do and you're going to lightly use it or not use it at all, sure, knock yourself out. If you are actually planning on using it, I would say really stick within the same parameters that I kind of used it for. You can, easily open packages, be wary of staples, just use it like a pocket knife. But if you are getting into a situation where you're going to be putting torque on the blade, you're going to cut into potentially something much harder than cardboard, right? There's a big potential for you to slip off of what you're cutting, right? This is not the type of knife that I would use to process wood. If you're in that situation, this isn't going to be the right knife. General EDC, a lot of people, if you use your knives like 2 or 3 times a week, right? You got a pocket knife at the office. Maybe your office is fine with you carrying a pocket knife and you just use your knife 2, 3, 4 times a week, cutting super light material. You'll probably never have to sharpen this. But like light stropping will keep that thing sharp forever. But serious users, I think there are a number of other steels, like a multitude of other steels that are just going to work better for you, right? My experience with this is not enough for anybody to make a perfectly informed decision. After watching this video, I highly urge you to watch the guys who do all the testing. I know Pete from Cedric Aneda has done testing with Rex121, a number of other people. Go watch that. Go watch sharpening videos and people's experience sharpening. I think Neves has videos like that. Neves is also the video where he talked about how hard this stuff is when it's properly heat treated. It can cut glass, like if it's 70 or up or 69 or up, which apparently is true. I didn't try to do that, right? But yeah, it's crazy stuff. It's brittle. I don't think it's quite as brittle as some people say. I think people really blow that out of proportion and they make it sound like if you sneeze on it, it's going to explode. Not in my experience, which I'll admit, it did shock me a little bit. I did think that it would, my guess when I started carrying this and using it was, I bet this does chip. I just bet it does. And the reason that I thought that is because both times that I purchased Spyderco knives in S110V, carrying and using them for about the same period of time resulted in chips. But S110V should be tougher than Rex121, I think. Am I wrong about that? You guys let me know. For some reason, this didn't. That could have been purely circumstantial. So take all of this with a grain of salt. I just wanted to give you guys my experience because I spent a longer time carrying and using this than a lot of other knives that I, go ahead and review. But not as scary as I thought. Definitely not the steel for everybody, I don't think. So anyways, that's going to be pretty much it today. Just wanted to give you guys my thoughts. I will clean this up. I mean, it looks like there would be scratches on it, but there's definitely not. It's too hard. So I'll clean it up and we'll give it away during a live stream. But Yeah, Rex121, holy moly, it holds an edge. It doesn't show any signs of fatigue hardly at all. And, you know, this is the initial edge still. So after it goes completely dull, and if it were sharpened, the true potential for its edge retention would shine then. So this is, again, this is just the first edge on this knife. Usually, you know, they talk about like the belt burn or whatever, something when they sharpen it the first time. Sometimes the heat treat, the potential for the heat treat to really shine through at the apex is not quite there until after you've sharpened it once. So pretty impressive. It's not nearly as scary as I thought. So that's my opinion. Again, I urge you to watch as many videos as you can and get opinions from as many sources as possible. Thanks again to River's Edge Cutlery for letting me test this out. This was fun. It was fun to finally experience this mythical steel. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.